Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Algorand's chart, and we are going to specifically at the beginning of the video talk about this recent crash, because I do not believe this actually happened naturally. There was absolutely 100% some shenanigans going on with Binance. So this, in my view, could affect a little bit our analysis, and also in some other ways is not really going to affect it that much. So are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on, and let's go around here. You see, the idea is whenever we are having a massive liquidation event, in other words, whenever you are seeing a very strong move down, followed by that, you are going to get a quick bounce. But in most cases, this is actually going to happen really, really fast, and it's going to be actually a dead cat bounce. Meaning what? Yeah, right around the lows, there are some gaps that were created as a result of this bounce being a bit too fast. And also, since in this phase, buyers do not actually have a whole lot of power, after this bounce, you are going to see another move down. And in some cases, we are going to get very close to the lows and we're not going to take them. In some other cases, we are going to take them by like the smallest margin, but that's not really the point. The point is, after this phase on the downside, we can expect our final bounce to come, and this is going to mark our final low. However, I do not believe in Algorand this is going to play out, because naturally you're going to say, well, okay, this is a massive liquidation event, followed by that we got a very quick bounce back, and makes sense to say we're going to get a move down in order to fill the gaps that were created as a result of this bounce happening way too fast around the shadows. And for instance, you might say, well, okay, in algo we are going to get to all the way down here around the 12-13 cents area. But again, since I do not believe this happened naturally, I'm going to tell you in a bit why. I'm gonna say, you know what, in Algorand we really do not have any unfinished business down here, and in fact I am a believer on a V-shaped recovery. Why? Because you see, the last time that something like this happened in generally the crypto market, not only altcoins but also Bitcoin as well, was, I believe, the 2020 crash. And let's go on Bitcoin's chart. Let's just hide everything, excuse me, and check out the 2020 sell-off. There we go. We were right around here about 10.5k, and we got an immediate move on the downside. And what happened next? We actually got a V-shaped recovery, but please pay attention. This recovery actually took a bit more time than this one. So in a lot of other altcoins, I'm going to argue we are going to recover quite soon, but it's going to take a couple of weeks, maybe days. Basically, I think you need to give the recovery phase about 10 to 15, 20 days. And if you come back in about 20 days, I think there's like a very high chance that you're not even going to feel the crash. And in Algorand, we already completely recovered from the recent phase down. Why? Let's go on 30-minute time frame and see where was the beginning of the crash. It was, there we go, right at this point, about 20.8 cents. And guess where we are? Around 20.7 cents. So in other words, we completely recovered from this. And if you watch my previous video, back then we were also around the 21 cents area. So on net, in the last, let's say 2-3 days, we didn't really do a whole lot. But if you had leverage positions on Binance, you absolutely got wrecked. And again, let that be a lesson for all of us to not use any leverage in the crypto market, not even the safest ones. Why? Because you see, the average move down that we got in the recent phase down in a lot of altcoins was, I believe, somewhere around 62%. Now, in leverage terms, we used to say that a safe leverage positions is going to be like a 1-to-2 leverage. However, even if you had a 1-to-2 leverage, unfortunately, you still got liquidated. And I promise you, there is literally no leverage positions left in the market, meaning what? Yeah, you are probably not going to see another of these anytime soon, and these prices on Binance are probably gone forever. Now, here's a question: how this actually affects our analysis? Should we say a lot has changed, or maybe the bull run case is still intact? Now, I'm going to check out both bullish and also bearish scenario, which in it we are going to consider this shadow in a minute. But I'm telling you right now, one way or the other, I do not believe that this is actually going to affect our overall analysis and bullish thesis. Why? You see, the idea in Algorand is that from the lowest low all the way down here about, let's say, 8.5 cents, we are having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, followed by a correction down, starting from this point and not the highest high. And the end of it, we were saying, well, okay, can be right in here. And if you want to count this shadow, okay, it definitely now is going to be right around this area. And you can say, well, maybe this is an ABC zigzag as opposed to a series of 1, 2, and you can say this is 1, this is 2, to about now. This point is going to be the end of our wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the downside into our wave 5, and I'm actually going to consider having in this area maybe something like a triangular structure into our wave 4 to about here, and then like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into our wave 5. So as you can see, one way or the other, in my books, this is still a correction, potentially in form of an ABC running flat into either our wave B or maybe a wave 2, but it doesn't really matter. The conclusion according to both of these scenarios is absolutely the same. One way or the other in this cycle, I do expect a good move on the upside. Now, if you want to go according to this chart from Binance, you see, in the previous videos, the idea was that we are having a series of 1, 2s, and this can be 5 up into 1, correction for 2, and then another great move up into wave 3 for 5, and it's going to be into a larger 3 wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, and we said this is going to play out by the end of the cycle, meaning what? It's actually going to take some time to play out. However, if you want to go according to this chart and you want to count this shadow in your analysis, well, okay, if you want to say we're going to have a bounce, I'm telling you right now, the difference between this and the previous scenario that we talked about in many videos back is the fact that we are actually going to get that bounce relatively quickly and you don't really have a whole lot of time left. So one way or the other, as you can see in Algorand, I am still bullish, but if you want to consider this shadow, you need to say that if we're going to have a bull run, it's actually going to happen really fast. And I'm telling you right now, be prepared to get out of your positions probably soon. Now, what if you don't want to count this shadow? And why is it that I'm talking about only and only this shadow on Binance? Because again, like we talked about at the beginning of the video, there was actually some shenanigans going on in this exchange. And by the way, as a side note, have you paid attention that the coins that weren't actually on Binance and also the projects that you weren't allowed to take leverage positions in them on Binance actually recovered very fast? For instance, let's check out Onyx Coin's price chart and see where we are. Let's go on H4 time frame so you can see the candles a bit better. So in Onyx, this was actually the crashing hour. We got a quick move down, but followed by that, not only we completely recovered the crash, we actually went quite a bit higher from this point to about here. Yep, we overall got a plus 25% move, which is insane. And if you think this is alone, absolutely wrong. How about Telcoin? Let's check out Telcoin's chart and see what happened. There we go. As you can see, this was the crashing hour. From this point, about 0.38 of a cent, we got essentially about like a 25% move down, but we quickly recovered and the price from this point is now about, let's say, 15% higher. So as you can see, I think Binance did actually a number on a lot of traders and investors. And in case of Algorand, you can literally see it in some other charts. Why? Okay, have you paid attention in the last couple of minutes? I said if you want to count this shadow in your analysis, the situation is going to be a bit different, but the overall conclusion is the same. Why did I repeat this constantly? Because when you check out some other charts, you actually literally do not have this crash. Don't believe me? Okay, let's check out Kraken's one. Okay, as you can see in Kraken, yeah, fair enough, we did get a move down, but this was only about a 10% move, and we didn't in it even take this important slow down here about 15.2 cents. Now, if you think Kraken is alone, once more, I would like to suggest think again. the deepest and the most liquid exchange right now in my view is Coinbase. And did we get a massive crash in Coinbase? The answer, once more, absolutely not. From this point to about here, we got a 20% move down. That's fair enough. But pay attention, the structures in here did not break. In other words, in this phase down, as you can see in Algo, we did not take this important slope down here about 15.5 cents. So as you can see, it's only on Binance that you can maybe argue we broke some structures. And if you check out some other charts, nope, we absolutely haven't. So I guess the question is, which chart should we go with? Do we go with Binance or do we go with Coinbase? Well, again, since I believe there was some trickery going on with Binance, from this point moving forward, I'm actually going to go with the Coinbase's chart, and I'm gonna say, yep, you know what? We are probably still having that 1-2 scenario intact, and we are most likely going to get a good bounce from the lower band of this beautiful ascending channel, and we are going to get yet another phase of the bull run. And I am still going to argue, look guys, this is probably 5 up into 1, correction for 2, and then we're gonna have a good move into wave 3 for 5, which on a higher degree it's gonna be into this wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5. And again, if you do not like this chart, okay, go with the Binance as well. The overall structures doesn't really change a whole lot, even if you want to count that shadow. Now, if this count is happening in the short term, what can we expect? We said, well, okay, naturally makes sense to expect some sort of a V-shaped recovery, and it is probably going to take some time. And do the short-term structures in terms of Elliott waves also suggest that? I think the answer to that question is absolutely yes. First things first, in my view, there's like a very high chance we are dealing with a correction structure in this area and not an impulsive movement on the downside. And generally, if you're not interested in Elliott waves, well, okay, you can consider this as a beautiful ranging pattern. And I do think that soon in Algorand, we are going to get out of this ranging pattern on the upside, and the target for it, yes, it's going to be somewhere around the 21.7 to about, let's say, 22 cents area. So basically you can expect like another 6-7% move on the upside. And in terms of Elliott waves, having a move up like that also makes sense. Why? Because I think that this initial bounce was actually in form of a 5-wave, followed by that we probably got a correction down, maybe like an A, B, C in form of a zigzag, or maybe a WXY in form of a double zigzag. Honestly, I want to say this is an A triangle into wave B, and then another move down into our C leg, and in it, our wave C actually got truncated, but you know what, no worries, absolutely fine. And then what's happening right now? I think this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and followed by that, we said this is a correction down. So what do you have on a higher degree? Maybe, and just maybe, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside. So as you can see, in the next, I'm going to say probably 48 to 72 hours, you can expect another move up in Algorand coming soon. But here's a question for you. What's going to happen after a 5-wave up, even if you want to go according to the most bullish scenario suggesting the bottom is set? I think you know the answer. We are going to have some sort of a slow and choppy move on the downside. So I'm going to say this whole structure is probably going to play out by the next most likely 10 to 15 days. And then if we see all the right subwaves, okay, at that point, I'm going to tell you, look, in Algorand, the job is done. We have completed a 1-2 scenario, meaning what? Yep, the next move is going to be a good one up into wave 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, I'm still here. I'm still bullish in Algo. I do not believe that the recent phase actually changed a whole lot about our whole bullish thesis. And I still believe that we are going to have a good bull run by the end of the cycle. And if you don't believe that, you know what? It's your opinion. I absolutely respect it. But from my POV, yeah, not a whole lot has changed. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Algorand's chart. Anyway, If you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the market, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.